here, also known as Dr. Bones of doomandbloom.net, where you'll find over 400 posts on medical preparedness for any disaster. And by the way, the co-author, along with my lovely wife, Nurse Amy, a nurse practitioner, of the Survival Medicine Handbook, Amazon bestseller in both survival skills and safety and first aid. I'm here in beautiful Gatlinburg at the Birdhouse Inn without my usual sidekicks, TD Bird and that other guy with the eating disorder, until we get back to our home in sunny Florida. Now, I had the opportunity recently to see the National Geographic Channel docudrama American Blackout. Now, on this program, the entire country is hit by a total blackout, putting America in the position of being off the grid for a period of time. This is apparently the result of the actions of Ukrainian cyber terrorists. You, the viewer, follow a number of people who inexplicably have some of the longest lasting camcorder and cell phone batteries in existence as they make their way through the disaster itself. I followed the program hashtag on Twitter during the show itself, found that most folks did find it scary, but very few mentioned that it would change the way they thought about dealing with disasters. Now, to those people, I would simply say that there are a lot of possible scenarios that involve man-made or natural calamities that no one is immune to. Tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, wildfires, all of which we've experienced somewhere in the country this year. Earthquakes, they're just some of the natural events. Economic collapse, nuclear meltdowns, targeted electromagnetic pulses, civil unrest, pandemics, my goodness, are just some of the man-made catastrophes that could befall us. Now, sure, the likelihood of your experiencing any one of these disasters is rather small, but what's the chance that you will never experience, to some degree, one of them or more sometime in your lifetime? Or your children's lifetimes. Remember that. Now, the victims portrayed in American Blackout were mostly middle-class Americans whose DNA clearly did not contain the preparedness gene. These people, over a few days, went from being amused by the loss of power to vaguely concerned to rightfully terrified by the predicament that they found themselves in. Government efforts to help were well-intentioned, certainly, but had little effect in relieving the misery. Soon people were taking drastic actions to obtain simple things like food and water, and with limited success. Now, I'm not going to pick apart the program's flaws because, I appreciate that it may bring a few more people into the preparedness community. I certainly hope that it does. But despite what the program portrays, I can assure you that it will be much worse than that. It just makes common sense to be ready for the uncertain future, and especially to be medically prepared. You saw injured and sick people on that show with almost no average citizen ready to deal with these kinds of issues. Now, I think every one of the families that they followed wound up having somebody who needed some kind of medical help, and that help just was not on the way for them in this calamity. Now, the show also focused on a family that was pretty well prepared for the end of the world as we know it. The classic preppers. Now, despite all their supplies, however, they made one mistake. They didn't put together a community of like-minded people that would help each other in a crisis. As a result, they could only depend on their own little family to perform activities of daily survival and to provide for the common defense. If you, the well-prepared citizen, haven't thought of this yet, it's time. The strain of doing what it takes to survive this type of disaster can't be shouldered by one person, and probably shouldn't be shouldered by one family. An individual may survive, but it takes a community to thrive. Now, some people feel that those that prepare for disaster scenarios and survival and all that business are just not right in the head. Now, one of the definitions of the word sane, as a matter of fact, is conforming to the norm. It logically follows, therefore, that the people in American Blackout were saying they certainly conformed to the norm and not being prepared. But you want to know something? If being totally unready for disaster is sane, and put a straitjacket on me and lock me in the loony bin, just make sure you put some food, water, and medical supplies in there with me. This is Joe Alton, MD. That old Dr. Bones wishing you health and safety in good times or bad. Thanks so much.